Hey everyone, and welcome back. We are going to be working on some screen designs. So we came up with a lot of different elements. We have some buttons, we have our navigation, we have our product cards, some variation there. We have, text cards and category cards. We have some like account details cards, and we have also these nice interesting cards where we could probably make some components out of them afterwards once we start to finalize, just the visual design over here. So let's jump in. Now I want to work right on the actual home page. So I'm just going to move the product page over, and I'm going to come up with a new frame over here. So I'm going to just label this one home, and let's get going. So one of the big things I want to do here is I really want to figure out, how does text play with all these elements that we're creating? So what I'm going to do is I am going to actually, I'm just going to copy some of this text over here, and I'm going to start and to think about all the content that's going to be in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a navigation item. We can just start with something like this, and I'm just going to place this. So generally how my process, is that I'll start placing some of these elements together and swapping them in and out based off of, just the type of content I have, and, seeing what works well with others. The one problem that we're probably going to run into is we have a lot of color cards. Do we really need like all those color cards? Maybe we don't. That's just something for us to figure out. So let's jump in some more here. So probably at the top we can just say like, this is like trending or like just for you. So I'm going to already start filling in this content based off of some of the work we've already done over here. There we go. So we can just throw that in there. I'm gonna constantly jump into like plugins like Streamline just to get like certain icons that I'd like. People often ask me, Daniel, do I need to grab like massive icon libraries? Should I just like focus on, smaller icon libraries? And, that's something that I think people need to kind of figure out based off of their own content. Sometimes I find myself using, entire libraries if my application or my product that I'm working on is really, really demanding in terms of the amount of, what would you call them? Different types of pages, different types of scenarios. So definitely it's going to depend on your scenario. So I have some icons here, just like, some chevrons just to show, hey, like you can swipe left or right. So I'm just going to bring this in a bit more. I don't want to take up like so much space with these. This probably can be around like maybe 24 pixels, and maybe at the top here, this one's like more. I'm not afraid to bump up some of the fonts here just because, we're really trying to, find a balance for what works. Maybe 24 is a bit too big, but that's okay. So we have our, this is just where we're also refining certain things like our copy and, what's working really well with other pieces. So we have that. We can probably bring this in a bit more. Okay, so our product cards are looking pretty nice right now. And we probably have them maybe like bleed off of screen. Maybe there's like a red version or something like that we use, something like that. That's really nice. So there we go. We already have some of our content. coming together there. And that seems to work. I'm thinking about like a header area. Maybe there's like a, let's go into our assets really quickly. I'm going to grab the actual logo. Maybe there's an opportunity to just put like a little bit of branding on that home screen. So I'm just going to detach that frame with a Shift Command G or Shift Control G. I don't need this. I'm going to use the icon. Just like, a little icon at the top is sometimes a nice little touch. So when I click this little button here and I resize that image, what it's going to do is going to keep the ratio. So when I, say type in 24, the width is going to change as well. So I'm going to keep that small, and we can, just bring that in here. I'm not too worried about like getting all the colors just right. I'm going to once again bring those colors in, especially I'm more concerned about like using my neutrals and finding that balance in terms of what's going to work for us. So I'm just going to throw those neutrals up here. And, my next step is going to be definitely going into all my neutrals and all my colors and making those individual styles, so that way I can easily pick them up. The next step I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go into my plugins, and Content Reel is another nice plugin. Where are my plugins? Here we go. Content Reel is right here. So I'm just going to launch that one. It's a free one. The reason why I like this one is because if I grab like the ellipse tool and I draw a circle, I can go into like image and grab like an avatar really quickly, and it's just going to pre-fill that with like any avatar, and they have a bunch of different options here. So, I'm just gonna choose this guy over here. It's a little pixelated, but I don't care. Just to add a little bit of excitement to this page, just putting in different elements that, may be part of the overall design eventually. Maybe there's like a profile. I'm thinking also of having the cart right up here. I have it in this area, but maybe there is like a cart up at the top. So I need to rethink the navigation a little bit more and go back to my info architecture, because right now I'm playing with elements. I'm exploring what's going to work. So right now I have like this kind of just for you section. I'm just going to pop that up a bit. I think the next thing is based off of what we have here is maybe like a deals section. And maybe this text isn't so big now. We can probably pop it down a bit and, maybe have, I'm actually going to steal from here, but maybe we have like a view all or see all. So that's really nice. I'm just going to keep the color the same right now. So that's nice. And then I'm going to go back to my cards here, and I'm going to take this card. So I got this card now. I'm going to throw that in there. I'm going to also make sure this has, the bottom as the constraint. So when I move this frame, my bottom navigation is going to stick with it. So we're just trying to make sure that this is like maybe 50%. Another great thing about like this whole exercise of trying to find, that style that's going to work for your brand and your general design is that, there's going to be scenarios here where you're going to start switching around UI elements that you previously thought were just like kind of set in stone. I think maybe at this point it's like, okay, I should go into Streamline, and maybe there's an icon for like a star. So actually I want a filled star. So I'm just rushing through the different icon families that I generally use. And I'm going to use a star. Let's see. Okay, that's going to work. So at this point, I'm just going to bring this down to like 16 pixels. I'm going to grab some text over here and write, like 4.25, something like that. So it's like kind of like a an actual like review or something. And then you may be thinking, oh, this is kind of like messy, and it is messy, and that's fine. Like, embrace it. Okay. Okay, so there we go. Like, now we have like a review version. Maybe we bring reviews into this section too, or maybe we don't. But, you know, now we're already starting to kind of create for those scenarios. So I'm just going to make like a quick grid over here. Oops. And there we go. So now we have like a grid of items. You know, maybe there's like, you know, deals here or something like that. And I think the last section, we have like categories. And I think that's another opportunity to bring in like maybe, you know, these types of cards. I'm going to throw them in here. Okay. Perfect. So now, like, now that I'm starting to, you know, see how things are, you know, laid out and whatnot, we're really going to definitely, you know, refine these. We're not going to leave them like this as our final design. It's a little too messy. You know, maybe we don't even need, you know, four grid items stacked together. So we have like shopping, habits, and interests. I'm going to leave that one. You know, for this one, we can either put Lorem Ipsum, or we can just like try and come up with some of our own copy. I would urge you to, it depends. Like, if you're working really quickly, you know, try your best to just like place some placeholder. But if you want to really think about that content, you know, definitely throw some, you know, meaningful copy in there. And then voila. So we now have our own little homepage that we've started to throw together based off of, you know, our wireframes, our colors, and some of these cards and different UI elements that we've created. So definitely, you know, don't be afraid to just jump in and start cleaning this stuff up once you're really happy with it. I'm starting to get really happy with this. I think we can tone some of this stuff down because there's a lot of color happening on the screen. But, you know, generally when the user is looking at this screen, they're only going to see, you know, about the, let's see, I think this is where they're going to get cut off. And this is going to come to the top. So they're going to basically see like this. So, I mean, they're not going to see it all at one shot. So yeah, this is kind of our home screen right now, and that's where we're going to leave off for this.